Julie with You to Be Healthy. Sorry, it took me a while to get going here. Again, this is Julie with You to Be Healthy at Tuesday health tips at 10. I'm going to try and do these every week. So bear with me as I kind of learn this system. I do have some notes, so I won't get off track, so I tend to kind of ramble. Okay, today's topic is about those who have trouble swallowing tablets, whether it be medication or supplements, and this would be some tips that we share with our clients, that both for children and adults. There are many people who struggle with this, so if you think you're the only one who has trouble swallowing tablets, you're not. This is a huge problem, and we thought we would share with you today some tips we have. So there are two reasons why people struggle with swallowing tablets. Again, whether medication or supplements or what have you. The first one would be medical. There are some people who either are born that way, they have a narrowing of the esophagus, or back in the throat, it's very narrow. Some people are just born that way. They have to be very careful on how they chew their food. They have to take very small bites, and they have a really high incidence of choking. So in that case, they have a medical problem. There's not a lot they can do about it. The other medical problem would be if someone had surgery and there was scarring. And hold on just a moment, I'm going to turn off my air conditioner, or my heater. I apologize for that. Again, it's live. It's like live TV. Next thing we'll know, we'll have the UPS man ringing the doorbell and our dogs will be barking. This is Dusty, our lovely little puppy who can stand up here. Anyway, the other medical reason we have would be where someone had surgery. They might have had cancer or some type of other surgery reason, and they would have scarring. There, my furnace finally kicked off, so you might be able to hear me. Anyway, the other main reason people struggle is psychological. And both medical and psychological reasons are very real. We're not here to make fun of or to condemn or to criticize just because you struggle swallowing tablets. Okay? So these tips are for the psychological reasons people have for not being able to swallow tablets. So, number one tip, especially when I'm working with children, is start small. We use a probiotic, little tiny pearl. It's very, very tiny. It's like the size of a BB. And we always recommend starting with that. It's slick, it's smooth, it doesn't get caught, and it's a good way to practice. So we tell both adults and children, start small. You can get pill splitters from the drugstore. They're really cute little plastic things that you stick the tablet in. It can handle any size tablet, and you can have it, you can quarter it. You can make it smaller. So if swallowing a huge tablet is really difficult for you, consider getting a pill splitter. You can also, if you have like certain gel caps they're liquid, like some supplements come in liquid form, in a gel cap, you can pierce it and squeeze it onto your food, but I really shy away from suggesting that only as a last resort, because the pin and needle or whatever you're using would have to be really disinfected so as not to contaminate and make you sick. You can also, some capsules have dry materials in them, and you can just basically break open the capsule and sprinkle it on the food. That is an option. But if you're dealing with hard tablets such as multivitamins or certain medications, you're not, you can split them, but you still got to swallow the pieces. So some suggestions we use for children is put it in applesauce. So if you're starting with a little probiotic pearl, that's just what I did with my son, is when as soon as he was old enough to swallow food, he would see me taking my supplements, and it was just like no big deal. So it's like, hey, do you want to take one too? I would start with the probiotic, and I would just let him plop we call it the little ball, onto the spoon full of applesauce, and then he just swallowed it. It was not a big deal. And I don't recommend hiding it from your kids. I don't believe in being that deceptive, because I think it'll come back and bite you later as kids figure us out. So just be honest and upfront, like, hey, okay, we're going to take this, but it's not that big a deal. Don't make a big deal about it. And it's, again, even with adults, we can tend to like get really nervous even thinking about swallowing a tablet. And so we're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I can do this. Especially with children, don't make a big deal. Calm down and just consider it as everyday life. You know, kids mimic what we do. And if you want to start them off right, just let them see you taking your tablets, and it's not a big deal. It's just we eat, we drink, we take our supplements. Okay. Another thing you can do is put it in the yogurt. So if you don't like applesauce, you can drop a yogurt. It's really good because it's slick and it'll slide down the throat. Some people will use Jello, where they can like put it down in the Jello and let it like form around it. That does work, but Jello is really, really unhealthy for you with all the dyes and the sugar. So I don't recommend getting a kid on a daily regimen of Jello. And but if that's your only way of getting it in them, sometimes that's the only way of getting in them. Okay, you can swallow it like with food. You can put it just like in soup, like in a broth. You can put it in with that. And some gel caps will melt in a broth, in a heated food like that. And then you can work your way up to swallowing. Well, people are like, okay, well, how do I get them to swallow it? Well, once they're taking the small Optiflora on the spoon with the applesauce or the yogurt, eventually they can work their way up to swallowing it. And that's what I did with my son. We just did a ball. We stuck it he just stuck it in his mouth, and I said, just let the little ball swim, take a drink, let it swim, and let him dive down the throat. Okay, so we used kind of visions to work with the child to get them to swallow it, and then make not a big deal about it. We kind of make it a game. Some things I don't recommend. Some people will say put it back on the back of your tongue, way far back, but I don't recommend necessarily doing that. A lot of people have a very easy gag reflex, and if you put something too far back in the throat, it's going to come up, especially with children. So I don't recommend doing that, and I don't recommend whipping your head back. You ever see people take tablets and then they whip their head back as they take their drink of water? There's a couple problems with that. One, you're hurting your neck when you do that, because you're taking your vertebrae and you're snapping it back, and you can really end up with some neck issues when you whip your head like that. You can actually get whiplash by doing it yourself. So I don't recommend doing that, and I don't recommend definitely not teaching children to do it that way. The other danger of that is the force of you whipping your head back can actually catapult the tablet down your windpipe. Now you got a problem, because now you're choking, or your child's choking. So please don't teach that, whipping your head back. And always sit upright. Don't lay down, obviously, but don't stand up and do it. A lot of people say, well, I want to do it over the sink in case I throw up. If you're worried about throwing it up, just get you a bowl in front of you, but don't stand up, because that's actually harder to do. So sit upright. Some will float the tablet in a small, like a little Dixie cup. They'll pour just a little bit of water, and then they'll drop the tablet in there and then drink it that way. That's how some hospitals do it. They'll drink it that way. So those are just a few tips and that I can suggest for kids. If the more psychological reasons, I don't want you shaming yourself. I don't want you beating yourself up saying, why can't I do this when kids can do it? I don't want you to think that you'll never be able to do it. I think if you want it bad enough, or you need to do it, maybe it's a medication you have to take. I think you just need to, like any skill, give yourself some time, practice it, and work your way up. Start small, try the little tips of putting it in food or different ways of swallowing it with liquid, and then relax. It's not the end of the world if you can't do it. And with children, people say, well, I just can't, my kid just won't do it. He just flat won't do it. And I understand that, because when I was a kid, I got sick and I had to take this huge tablet and I couldn't chew, and my mother and I would fight, and it became this huge deal. The biggest thing with children is don't make a big deal out of it. If you don't make a big deal out of it, then they don't get nervous and worried and upset either. And with kids, it's kind of like, well, they can't swallow the tablet. Their throat's too small. Okay. When someone tells me that, I ask them, have you ever witnessed your child eating in a hurry? Let's say you're at an amusement park and you're like, okay, we can't go on the rides till you finish your hot dog or your hamburger or your chicken nuggets, and watch them gulp that down. They will swallow huge chunks of food without even chewing them so they can go do what they want to do. If your child can do that, they can swallow a vitamin tablet, or they can swallow, an antibiotic if they need it. So keep that in mind, that physically they can swallow it, but it's a mind over matter, and it's teaching new skills. And this is a skill that I highly recommend teaching children when they're young, because you just never know whether they end up ill and they need medication. They're going to need to swallow it, because not everything is in a liquid and not everything is chewable. They're going to need, for either convenience or cost, or for whatever reason the delivery method is in a tablet only, they're going to need to be able to do that. Okay, so just keep it light, keep it easy. Don't expect success overnight. Give yourself some time. And when it comes to vitamins, you do have a few options, especially with the multis. You can get the tablet, but you can also get chewable for children. And if you wanted to, the children's vitamin as an adult, you can do that. You just double it. It's basically half the ingredients of an adult multi. So that is doable, and our company also provides that, and provides a liquid multivitamin that is really good, and we also provide a powdered multivitamin, which is really good. So our company understands some of the challenges people face, and that they need these options. All right, so that's it for today. As always, if you have any questions or you need to work more, one-on-one, message me and we can make an appointment to do that. And then since you're here, or even if you're watching the replay, I'm going to give a free giveaway today. It's our article, Superwellness for Super Kids, a Parent's Guide, and it's written by a wonderful pediatrician, Dr. Jamie McManus. She gives a lot of really good information on how to keep kids healthy, and that is my giveaway for today. So thank you for joining us, whether live or afterwards, and look for that, just message me, I guess. Just message me, and I'll tell me where you would like me to email you that article, and I will do that. You guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week. Take care.